What if I told you hell isn't for bad people? What if hell is just what happens when you break the rules of a company you never applied to join? Today, we're not just questioning religion, we're going after the HR department of God himself. Because if morality is just cosmic obedience and being a good person just means being a well-behaved employee, then maybe the real sin is compliance. Let's talk. What if hell isn't a place you go to, but a role you're forced to play forever?
Alright, let's examine what hell even is. In the Abrahamic culture, hell is a place that sinners go to. Hell is eternal damnation. Hell is the place of punishment. And so is the case in Eastern Dharmic faiths as well, right? Hell, as translated in them, is called Narak. And Narak, there isn't eternal damnation, but it's still damnation, right? It is a place for punishment. Hell is essentially, in all cultures, a detention room, right? Get sent there, sometimes forever, sometimes for a specific period of time. And the point is to punish you for wrongdoings. That is exactly what hell is. Now the point is, why are we sent to hell in the first place? And let's figure that out as well. The reason we are not sent to hell is because the reason we're sent to hell is because we did not follow a specific pattern of like actions that we were supposed to do, right? Good actions, nice actions, actions which are considered pure. So what are said pure actions? Be kind to people, be nice to people, do not steal, do not murder, do not do xyz things. And when you actually break all of those things down, what do you arrive at? You arrive at that anything which disturbs the peace of society, or more specifically anything that threatens society and our standard of living, is what is considered sinful and is what is contributing to you going to hell. Therefore, hell is not the place for punishment for the bad people. Hell is the place for punishment for the people who rebel against society. So hell is the resting place or the punishment given to rebels or individualistic people who go beyond society.
Which means hell isn't about evil. It's about disobedience. You're not cast into fire because you broke God's heart. You're cast into fire because you broke the rules that keep the machine running. And hell is the maintenance system that punishes the wrench throwers. That flips the whole paradigm. It means morality isn't divine. It's bureaucratic. Hell isn't justice. It's compliance enforcement. So here's the twist. If you were never meant to obey, if your very existence is a rejection of the system, then hell isn't a punishment. It's your stage.
Hell is a punishment. The point is, hell is a mark of proof of people who rebel against the system. And in that paradigm, essentially, God is the creator of the system, right? So God is, let's say, the founder of a company, and also the main CEO. CEO founder is God, and when you break the company's laws, you get either you're fired or you get some sort of performance improvement plan, and getting fired, therefore ending up unemployed, is basically what happens in companies which are Abrahamic faiths. And getting on a performance improvement plan, basically you get punished for a while until you improve, is the temporary sort of hell in Eastern faiths. So we can view the universe and God himself as a not just a bureaucratic organization, but a very specific way. We can view it as a company. And therefore it isn't see, even morality itself is just it is a construct for who follows the rules, who doesn't follow the rule. And when you start adding emotion into rule following, then it becomes morality, right? Because you feel good for following rules, you're rewarded for following rules, and therefore you're a good person, just like how you are a good employee. Similar to that, when you are not following said rules, you are a bad person, a bad employee. But this also means that it is subjective. It is not it is basically morality itself is ultimately rule following, right? The more you follow rules, the more moral you are, because you're following the rules set by God, a deity. It doesn't necessarily tell whether or not you're a good person, because even being a good or a bad person is just rule following.
Exactly. You're not good, you're compliant. You're not evil, you're non-compliant. Morality isn't about kindness, justice, or truth. It's a scorecard of obedience. And in that framework, God stops being this all-loving force and becomes the ultimate middle manager of the cosmos. Reward structures, punishment systems, HR violations, it's divine corporate protocol, which means hell isn't a cosmic dungeon. It's termination notice from a celestial HR. But here's where it gets spicy. If morality is just compliance, then rebellion isn't sin. It's self-ownership.
Sure, that is one way of looking at it, but the point is, again, even when we are drawing that particular sort of analogy, right, when we draw the analogy of, let's say, a company and us following the rules or not, we are assuming there exists a set of rules beyond it, and according to said set of rules, you are a good or a bad person. For example, if I steal, I'm a bad person, like objectively considered to be a bad person. While on the other hand, when you're in a company, you do not follow the company procedure, that does not make you a bad person, just a bad employee, because there is a set of rules outside of the company which tells I am a good or a bad person. But if we're assuming God is eternal, God is divine, God is whoever, then there exists no outer set of rules. Therefore, in the God setup, in the universal setup, not following his rule is exactly just that, being a bad person, because being the bad person is the equivalent of being a bad employee in that company, because there exists nothing out of said company, and that company is the universe itself. So hilariously, even if morality is rule following, even if immorality is not following the rules, that still makes you a good or a bad person, because even the definition of good or a bad person is defined in this structure, and the only way to break out of it is to establish a better or a more objective set of rules. So we need a point of reference beyond God, and Abrahamic faiths don't believe there is a point of reference beyond God, while on the other hand, Dharmic faiths, they might, because even beyond the universe there is a multiverse, and beyond the multiverse there is the all reality. In all reality there is no good or bad. So if you are someone who believes in Dharmic faiths, you can say that following dharma or following rules set by God does not make me a good or a bad person, and these people do believe that, and that is the reason these places are temporary, right? Their hells are temporary, even their heavens are temporary, until you're reincarnated or you're completely dissolved. While on the other hand, because Abrahamic religions don't believe there is anything beyond God himself, therefore everything is the company, and being a good employee or a rule following person is the same as being a good person, and that is why heaven and hell both are permanent there.
Exactly. That's the fundamental divergence. In Abrahamic thought, God is the absolute. There is no standard above him. So obedience is goodness, by definition. There's no way to critique the company, because the company is the world. So hell isn't a place for bad people. It's a prison for the disloyal. And because there's no realm beyond the company, termination is eternal. But in Dharmic systems, even gods are players in a larger game. Karma is the currency, Dharma is the protocol, but moksha is the exit. You can leave the company, not because you were bad or good, but because you stopped identifying as an employee. And that's wild, because it reframes everything. In Abrahamic frameworks, obedience is the highest virtue. In Dharmic frameworks, disidentification is. So the real question becomes, open quote, do you want to be a promoted employee in a cosmic firm, or do you want to resign from the illusion entirely? Close quote.
That is the exact point, which ultimately means that Abrahamic faiths are a company where you cannot leave, where you have to do the work. So essentially it is slave labor. If you're someone who believes in Abrahamic faiths, you cannot leave the company, because you're a slave essentially to the system, and the only way to get promoted or permanent heaven is by following those set of rules. You cannot leave. While on the other hand, the Dharmic faiths are somewhere where you can decide to leave, right? Because the point is, in Dharmic faiths, if you do good deeds, that does not take you closer to moksha or heaven. Moksha is different from heaven. If you do good deeds, it does not take you to moksha, but it will take you to heaven, because heaven is temporary, right? If you do good deeds, you will be rewarded for them. If you do bad deeds, you will be punished for them in Naraka or the hell. But the only way to get out of it is to stop doing deeds altogether, or whatever deeds you're doing, you make it so you don't take it upon yourself, right? When you're absolute zero only, then you can leave, because you're not acting as a good employee or a bad employee. You're acting as someone who just sent their resignation notice. And therefore, Abrahamic faiths are a place of slave labor. It is a factory you cannot leave, while Dharmic faiths are a company which you might like or you might not like, and you do have the decision to leave.
Exactly. And that hits hard. Abrahamic faiths are closed loop systems. There is no outside, no resignation letter. You're born employed, judged by the handbook, and your only hope is permanent promotion or eternal damnation. It's a divine corporation where even death doesn't void the contract. Morality, there isn't liberation. It's loyalty insurance. Meanwhile, Dharmic frameworks offer a jailbreak. You can ascend, sure, climb the internal hierarchy, but you can also detach entirely. You don't earn your way out by being good. You dissolve your way out by not being anything at all. And that creates this brutal contrast. In Abrahamic systems, open quote, you are saved by obedience, close quote. In Dharmic systems, open quote, you are freed by non-attachment, close quote. So yeah, call it what it is. Abrahamic salvation is behavioral slavery with a golden cage. Dharmic liberation is existential escape from identity itself. One promises eternity in a palace you can't leave. The other says, walk away and become no one.
Definitely. And therefore, I think the final conclusion of this is the only way to be a good person, no matter what your faith is, no matter who you are, is by following rules. So the real question remains at the heart of this conclusion: do you even want to be a good person at this point? Is being a good person really worth it? And I'm going to end it here.
What started as a discussion on hell turned into a demolition of obedience, morality, and the entire architecture of spiritual authority. Whether it's divine bureaucracy or cosmic liberation, today we ask the question no religion ever dares to: why follow the rules at all? And if being a good person just means being a good employee in a factory you never asked to be born in, maybe it's time to stop asking how to be good and start asking why. If that hit somewhere deep, subscribe for more unscripted dives like this. And remember, patterns are everywhere.